So,
Jesus.
what did you think about the assassination?
Dude, I almost had that game beat. Yeah, so everybody but the media says the shooter had help. But that's not true. Now, I know this will sound absolutely insane and like I'm off my rocker, but the assassination attempt was not an inside job. Let me get my files. Now just hear me out. I'll prove it. Let's just establish right off the bat, the shooter acted alone. But all the conspiratorial people are saying things like, well, what's a 20-year-old doing with multiple encrypted messaging accounts? Well, you have to realize the media has been telling us he's a loner. So it sounds to me like he was using encrypted messaging accounts so no one could find out that he didn't have anyone to message, because he was embarrassed by how lonely he was. Okay, now this is just a complete misunderstanding. Crooks, who didn't know how to make explosives, had homemade explosives in his truck and a detonator with him on the roof. At first glance, it does sound a little suspicious, but it's easy to explain. The shooting happened on July 13th, so the explosives were probably just left over from the 4th of July. Oh, bomb-level explosives? Well, yeah, he probably just really wanted to celebrate the 4th of July. He's probably just a really patriotic guy. Who forgot to set them off on the 4th and then tried to kill the president? Well, like, who doesn't have explosives? I've got explosives in my truck right now. Now, I've seen reports of a lot of conspiratorial nut jobs who say, oh, well, Crooks didn't act alone. And they'll cite things like a Heritage Foundation that released cell phone data of a mysterious person who made frequent trips to Crooks' home from a building in DC near the FBI office. Frequent trips? That sounds suspicious. Not when you do the math. The most obvious explanation is there's probably an Amazon shipping warehouse in DC, and this so-called mysterious person was probably just an Amazon delivery driver taking DVD box sets of Friends to Crooks' home in Pennsylvania. Probably liked to watch Friends because he didn't have any. Think about that. And if the FBI can get into Crooks' phone, I'm sure they'll find he was a Prime member. But for now, the FBI says they can't get into his phone. But I'm sure they're working hard on it. Oh, talking about the FBI, we better turn our phones off. They're most likely in our phones right now listening to us, and I don't want them to think I'm talking negatively about them. I love you guys. Now, the day of the event, there were a lot of security anomalies, but they're all very easy to explain away. You know, like, for example, people are putting way too much weight into this, that the Secret Service had been watching Crooks long enough before the shooting that they had pictures of him and they were circulating the pictures. Why'd they have pictures of him if they didn't think he was a threat? And if they thought he was a threat, why didn't they neutralize him? Nut jobs. By my estimates, the Secret Service probably thought he was a severely autistic boy, and they were impressed that he knew how to use a rangefinder. I would take a picture of that. You know, like if you see a cat playing blackjack, you're gonna take a picture of it. Oh yeah, and then there's all kinds of people saying, well, police were inside the building that Crooks was on the roof of when he took the shots. How'd they let that happen? The answer is so obvious. The police were inside. Crooks was on the roof. They couldn't see or hear him. Wait a minute. What's that sound? Hold on, I'll be right back. Oh, we're good. It was nothing. It was just a squirrel on the roof. Those things are so loud with their little tiny feet scampering. Oh yeah, and then the conspiracy theorists raise this issue like, well, there were so many witnesses that saw Crooks on the roof crawling with a rifle and they alerted authorities. What happened there? Well, nobody likes a tattletale, and like the boy who cried wolf, you can't believe everything people tell you. But believe me when I say this, Crooks acted alone. And then people say things like, well, why wasn't Secret Service on the roof? They must have been ordered to stand down. No, what those people just aren't hearing is now former Secret Service Director Kim Cheadle came out and said the roof was too sloped. It was too dangerous. Case in point, Crooks went on that roof and he died on that roof. That sounds like a dangerous roof to me. Now hear me on this issue, because a lot of people are taking this bait into thinking it was an inside job. Because Senator Josh Hawley has said he had a whistleblower come forward, which informed him that most of Trump's security that day weren't even Secret Service. They were inexperienced personnel assigned by DHS. But why would Trump be getting his security from a delivery company?
You're thinking about DHL.
DHS. Oh, I don't know about that. Like, what are you going to believe? A whistleblower? They're usually so mentally unstable that they often take their own lives. Just look at all the Boeing whistleblowers. They're not reliable, stable people. Yeah, and then people are raising the issue that Trump's team had routinely asked the DHS for more security personnel and they were denied. Well, that's probably because Trump got confused like me and he was asking DHL. They don't even have security, apparently. Well, I'll tell you this, people are driving me crazy with all this talk about there being a second shooter. Oh yeah, there was a second shooter on the water tower. Look at this mysterious dark figure. First of all, it's not a dark figure. It's a figure of color. Get with the times, bigots. Second, do you know how unlikely it is that there would be a second shooter? It would be completely unprecedented. Once the official investigations conclude, there are never second shooters, always a lone gunman. It's just how they do it. Yeah, like just think about the JFK assassination. Allen Dulles was the head of the CIA until JFK fired him because he was corrupt and couldn't be trusted. But once JFK was assassinated, Dulles was assigned to the Warren Commission to get to the bottom of the assassination. Oh, was it the CIA? No, psycho. The former head of the CIA that JFK fired concluded it was a lone gunman. It is pretty much the same here with Trump. You have to understand that the FBI, CIA, and Secret Service are investigating the assassination attempt, and if there was any inside involvement of the FBI, CIA, or Secret Service, they would have found it by now. Conclusion: it was a lone gunman and the assassination attempt. And for that to be conclusive, that would imply that there was only one person on Earth that wants Trump dead. And guess what? That was Crooks. The one person on Earth that wanted Trump dead is dead. Nobody else would have had any motive. So, case closed, not an inside job. My friends, I will admit something. I like to shield myself from EMF radiation, but we're told not to worry about it. However, have you ever thought about this? The same people that censor protective talk about EMFs are the same ones telling you the world will be underwater 6 years ago. You need to stop eating nourishing meat to save the planet. And they're the same ones that demand your medical compliance during pandemics. And they tell you EMFs are so safe that they censor us from talking about it. Well, you know what? Call me crazy, but I don't outsource my thinking to them because I don't trust them. But I'll tell you who I do trust. Bond Charge, the makers of my favorite line of EMF protective products. Here's how Bond Charge helps me protect myself every day. I have the harmonizing sticker on my phone, and I use the EMF radiation blocking phone pouch, also protects against EMP attacks. And I'm always using the EMF radiation blocking laptop mat, blocks up to 99% of EMF radiation up to 20 gigahertz. And instead of microwaving my brain when I'm talking on the phone, I use the EMF radiation-free AirTube headphones. Thanks to Bond Charge, you don't have to be helpless anymore. You can protect yourself from EMFs. Just go to bondcharge.com/JP and use discount code JP for 15% off everything Bond Charge offers.